Okay, I'm gonna do my best not to simp for Elizabeth Olsen in this review because I mean, just she's great. And no, I did not jump on the Elizabeth Olsen hype train. I was on that train since 2015. Like I saw her in Age of Ultron, and that sort of like goth punk rock chick look outfit she was wearing was just, she's amazing. WandaVision is the latest installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and stars Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda Maximoff and Paul Bettany as the Vision, as well as many others. Now, I've always liked Wanda and Vision as characters in the MCU, but to me they were never the standouts. I do think that they've been great in the MCU films that they've appeared in, especially Wanda. Like in Civil War, I really liked her whole arc of, not being able to control other people's fears. That doesn't matter, she has to control her own. That was really great. And in Endgame, when she basically almost single-handedly takes out Thanos, like, I was amazing. You took everything from me. Lady, I don't even know who you are. You will. I love her. And with Vision, I really liked him, but to me, the last time he peaked was with that conversation he had with Ultron at the end of Age of Ultron. The speech about life being beautiful because it doesn't last. That was fantastic. And yes, Vision has had good moments in the MCU, but to me, nothing was ever as poignant as that last scene with Ultron. And so we join Wanda and Vision at the start of WandaVision, where Vision is alive and well, married to Wanda, and they are just living happily in Westview. But all of a sudden, their surroundings look like different sitcoms from different eras. And to me, that was when WandaVision was at its best. Every time it did homages and pastiches to the different eras of sitcoms, I thought the show was incredible. Those first 3 episodes were so great, and they were really funny, and they really resonated with me because I like sitcoms. Once the show started to introduce the sword elements, I found it to be less interesting. Because the main story of WandaVision is about Wanda, and the fact that she didn't appear in episode 4 until the very end, it did have me a little bit worried, but the next episode went straight back to the sitcom elements, which was good, but then it still had the other sword elements sprinkled throughout. And for me, those sword elements just weren't that interesting. Yes, I was happy to see Randall Park back as Jimmy Woo. He was great. Kat Dennings also returned as Darcy, and she wasn't actually annoying for once, unlike in the Thor films where she was kind of annoying, like 70% of the time. And we were also introduced to the grown-up version of Monica Rambeau, and she was really good. She gets a little bit problematic towards the end, but as a whole, I really liked just how altruistic and, optimistic and heroic she was as a character, and I look forward to seeing more of her in Captain Marvel too. But yeah, the sword elements to me just weren't that engaging, especially with that whole engineering debacle because that was just a piss take. So in episode 4, Monica goes, oh, I have this engineering friend who can help us out with the Hex. And so for the next 2 to 3 episodes, they tease, oh, there's an engineer coming. And yes, the internet did go a little bit crazy with the fan theories. I mean, I would have loved it to have been Reed Richards, but I mean, it probably wasn't going to happen. But the fact that this engineer turned out just to be some random military person with a space rover was just dumb. It was so stupid, especially since the rover they provide doesn't even work. It honestly just felt like a very contrived way to get Monica her powers, and just, I mean, you could have just had Monica try and break through the Hex anyway because Hayward was trying to kick her off the mission. So, in a desperate attempt, she could have just tried to run through the Hex and then got through and then got her powers. You didn't need the whole engineer debacle thing. It was so dumb. I mean, yes, it was a wild fan theory to expect somebody like a Reed Richards or a Ben Grimm, but the fact that it just didn't pay off at all was just dumb. Oh yeah, and Hayward. Hayward was awful. He was a terrible villain. I'll get more onto it when we get to the finale, but just... And we also get the reveal of Evan Peters' recast version of Pietro, and just... I won't lie, at the time I was very annoyed because I just wanted to see Aaron Taylor-Johnson back as Quicksilver, and the fact that he didn't show up in the show was really annoying because, to me, Aaron Taylor-Johnson is the best Quicksilver. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Evan Peters as Quicksilver, but you have to admit, he has no character arc in those X-Men films. He just shows up there to be the big spectacle moment of the film. From Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, and Dark Phoenix, he gets nothing character-wise to do. He just shows up, does a really cool running sequence, and then leaves the film. Unlike Aaron Taylor-Johnson's Quicksilver, who actually had a character arc. He started off as a Hydra extremist, he then joined the Avengers, and then he sacrificed his life to save Hawkeye. You may not like that he sacrificed his life to save Hawkeye, but still, you can't deny that he went through at least a good character change in that film. Unlike Evan Peters' Quicksilver, who barely goes through any change. But regardless of that, I like seeing Evan Peters in the Quicksilver role, and he was really fun. The way they wrap it up, we'll get onto that. Aside from the Agnes being Agatha Harkness reveal, episode 7 was just a filler episode. Not much happened. All it was Darcy and Vision trying to get back to the house and Wanda finding out that her kids were kidnapped. Now, episode 8 to me was the best episode of the show. Aside from that really awful opening with Agatha, the acting was terrible, I'm sorry. It was essentially a character study of Wanda Maximoff. We understand why she made her fake TV reality based on old sitcoms. We see the scene that they talked about in Age of Ultron about her and Pietro waiting under the table for the Stark bomb to go off for 2 days. We also see some of the aftermath after Endgame where Wanda tries to reclaim Vision's corpse, only for Hayward to deny that because Vision is essentially $3 billion worth of vibranium and he can't just have it, buried in the ground. That scene also had a really nice reversal on the I just feel you thing from Infinity War, and that was really good. We then see that Vision bought Wanda a house and, wanted to grow old with her in the house, and that was really sweet. And then, we see her basically give birth to Vision and create the Hex. And it was just really powerful stuff. Elizabeth Olsen nails those scenes. Episode 8 was just a solid episode exploring the tragedy of Wanda Maximoff. It was really tragic stuff. And then we get to the finale, and the finale is very underwhelming. Most of it was just a CGI fight between Agatha and Wanda and Vision and White Vision. Look, I really like Kathryn Hahn. Every time she had to do the nosy neighbor Agnes thing, she was great. But whenever she had to play the big evil Agatha Harkness witch thing, she was just really bad. I'm sorry, she felt like a caricature. Like, I didn't believe her to be this evil demonic witch. She just felt like, oh yeah, I'm doing a parody of the Wicked Witch of the West. The Vision versus White Vision fight was cool. Like, I like them, flying through the air and fighting each other and punching and phasing and rephasing. That stuff was great. The CGI is a bit wonky, but I really appreciated the concept. But the reason why the fight stands out so much to me is because by the end of it, they just stop fighting and then start discussing the idea of Theseus' ship and philosophy. And then that brings them on to the idea of, is Vision really the true Vision if White Vision is made out of Vision's body? Like, that stuff is brilliant and actually reminded me a lot of the philosophical elements of Age of Ultron. Like, to me, that was some of the best Vision stuff since Age of Ultron. It was really good because it just felt within character of the Vision. But at the end of the day, the reason why the Agatha versus Wanda fight doesn't work that well, aside from the poor CGI, is the fact that Wanda beats Agatha way too easily. She casts some runes, forms her sexy Scarlet Witch costume. Like, I'm serious, that costume is one of the best MCU suits. It is amazing. She turns Agatha into Agnes permanently or something. I don't know, they don't really address what really happens to Agatha at the end of the show, apart from that she gets turned into Agnes again. And then Wanda just breaks the spell that keeps the Hex together. Oh yeah, and Darcy stops Hayward with a truck or something. Like, just so stupid. Hayward was such a crap villain. At first, Hayward didn't seem like a bad guy. He was just a little bit of a dick. But he was doing his job, because Wanda had literally, taken over an entire town and kept them hostage. But as the show went on, and especially by the end, when he basically reassembles Vision to, kill Wanda, and then he tries to kill Wanda's kids, it came out of nowhere, and I was like, huh? How did Hayward go from being a dick to being an absolute murderer? What? What is going on? And speaking of moments that made me go, what? They named Evan Peters' character a guy called Ralph Boner. They named my life's work Boner? Seriously? They only got Evan Peters just to be a meta casting? It has nothing to do with the multiverse? What? Why didn't they just get Aaron Taylor-Johnson back and just have him be a reanimated version of Pietro that dies when the Hex spell is broken? Why did they cast the X-Men version of Quicksilver as the fake Pietro if this was not somehow related to the wider multiverse? Because remember, they kept saying that WandaVision ties into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So the fact that Evan Peters is in this just as a random guy called Ralph Boner is stupid. And don't give me this BS of, oh, the fans started, going crazy with their fan theory. No, Marvel specifically told everyone that this, ties into Doctor Strange too. It's this, among many of the other reasons I've just said, is why the finale just doesn't work as well for me. There's just so many plot holes that when you actually start to think about it, the whole thing just falls apart. It just felt like at the end of the day, Wanda just got away with everything. There was no big fight to get out of Westview. She kind of was just let go by Monica. And that, to me, was the stupidest thing. By the end, Monica to me was just a bit too dumb. It just seemed like Monica forgot that Wanda had enslaved an entire town and was mentally torturing them. Yes, it wasn't intentional, but at the end of the day, Wanda still did it. And when Monica lets Wanda leave, it didn't seem like a, hey, I know what you've done, it's wrong, but I'm letting you go because I know what you've been through. It just comes across as like, oh, they'll never know how much you sacrificed, you're the real hero, Wanda. Bullshit. What? Now, I know that the showrunner and the director of the series have come out and said that the finale was hit by problems due to the pandemic, but you kind of just have to think about it and go, okay, if this finale wasn't ready and you needed to shoot more things but couldn't, wouldn't it just be better to, just postpone the show and just wait for the finale to be completed so then when you release it, it feels like a cohesive narrative? Like, I'd rather wait for the finale to be properly finished rather than watch, a rushed out job. See, I do think as a whole, WandaVision is good. It tells that, story of Wanda Maximoff and her journey and how by the end of it, she's sort of lost everything. She's lost Vision, she's lost her children, and, she's sort of, run away into exile. Oh, speaking of Vision, I hope that they don't get White Vision and revert him back to the normal Vision. I hope that he remains White Vision, he has Vision's memories, but lacks the emotional ability to feel those feelings. Because if you make White Vision, like, essentially the new Vision, then you've basically taken away all the character development from Infinity War. I will say, I also thought Wanda would have been a bit more emotionally broken by the end of WandaVision. Yes, she is in exile and is, using the Darkhold to basically try and find her children throughout the multiverse. But I just thought that Wanda would have snapped and, become that evil Scarlet Witch and, gone full on crazy. But I guess they're saving it for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, I think. But at the end of the day, I feel like WandaVision did a really great job at exploring the tragedy of Wanda Maximoff and basically essentially making a really sympathetic, morally grey character by the end. Overall, I will say WandaVision is good. It has a great first 3 episodes, the middle episodes range from good to great, and then the finale is kind of underwhelming. But it has a fantastic central performance from Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany. So I will say for now, the MCU has had a good start on Disney+. Like, the week-to-week discourse surrounding WandaVision was great, and I really hope that the MCU and Disney+ is able to keep that momentum with other shows like Falcon and the Winter Soldier going forwards, because that was a really great and fun experience. But yeah, that is what I think of WandaVision right now. It's solid. But what did you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Like and subscribe and all the good stuff. Hit the notification bell down there as well. Social media links are down there, so give them a look and a follow. And until we meet again, I'll see you guys next time.